My name is Gwendolyn Woods, and I am the niece and caretaker of Patrick Hill. Patrick is my uncle. He is the only relative I have left of my grandmother's. He was her first. Patrick, as you can see, he is very special, and due to our family, Patrick is my grandmama's most precious cargo. She lived for Patrick. The reason that I'm doing this video is because 3 years ago, when my grandmama got sick, she entrusted Patrick into my care, and I let Patrick start working with a home health agency. During that time, Patrick was assaulted by one of the caregivers. The staff was fired, and there was a lapse in time where I was able to trust anybody with him. Because we live here, my grandmother blessed me with a home, and I'm very grateful for that. This home is in the historical district, and it's 104 years old. One of the reasons why Patrick ended up at O'Berry was because he has seizure disorder, and this house isn't insulated, and because of the heat, Patrick was having seizures after seizures after seizures. So that caused us to make decisions about placing him in O'Berry. People came out, we went and saw, and we decided to let Patrick go. Patrick did go, and for a while Patrick did enjoy himself. In 2011, I began to call Patrick because I was steady going different times, and Patrick began to share that he was not happy, he wanted to come back, and that was a red light for me. And at that time I began to ask Patrick, well, what's wrong? And he would tell me staff was hitting him, and I began to go and make complaints and stuff, and nothing was really ever done. They would always say, well, no, he just spoiled, this is going on, and he's fine. And I'm like, okay. But August of 2013, I received a phone call that Patrick had made a claim that a staff had hit him. And because of the hours that I was working on that Monday, on that Tuesday when I got off of work, I went to see him. And I was off for the next couple of days. And to my findings, Patrick had been assaulted. I carried him to the hospital. At that time, Patrick had made the claim that staff had been sleeping with him and also beating him. He was able to tell the police that, he was able to tell the interviews that, the directors, he was able to tell detectives that, he was able, and his story has never changed even till today. Patrick was also put in protective custody, and it was like a downscale for us, for our family, to get him back home. Had we taken him out, he'd have lost everything. But because we had some awesome people working with us and working quickly, Patrick was moved, and then Patrick came home. Prior to Patrick coming home, he still suffered behaviors that was very detrimental to me and to him. He shared about things that the staff was sleeping with other residents. There was only Patrick and another resident that could talk, and Patrick would tell what the staff was doing to the other resident, and I found that ironic and heroic of him that he would share that to help out the other resident. Since then, Patrick has had to be placed on medicine because his outbursts and behaviors. He would get angry, or he would holler, and I would ask him what was wrong, or if he would holler at me, I would tell him, because we've always been honest, and my grandmama didn't never look at Patrick as him being different. Patrick has always been the same like you and I. I would say, if Patrick will holler at me or say something, I would tell him, you don't holler at me, I don't holler at you. You don't cuss at me, I don't cuss at you. You don't hit me, and I don't hit at you. And I walk away. Then later on, when I would go back, or Patrick would come where I was at, he would say, but they hit, they slap, they punch. And I would tell him, yes, they did that, and yes, they were wrong, but we're not going to do that. But eventually, over time, Patrick had to eventually go to the doctor. We went to several doctors. All of them said that Patrick was damaged goods, that they were not adequately enough capable of treating him, because Patrick is diagnosed with mental retardation. He is 73 with the mind of a 4-year-old, and Patrick has other health issues. The hardest thing about that was to hear them saying that Patrick was damaged goods. But there was one lady, it was called Pathways to Life. Her name was Donna Ramsey. In spite of she was willing to jump in there and help, she was not qualified to say, well, I can do this and that, but she knew immediately Patrick had PTSD, and she was able to help, and so far still is, and I'm very grateful for that. Patrick did have to be placed on medication for his behaviors, and that is heartbreaking to me, because the man that used to run up and down the halls, the man that used to talk to me, the man that used to laugh with me, the man that used to hold conversation, no longer does that. He has nightmares at night. He's able to tell you that the man is in his room. If you look behind me, there's another bed. There are certain times when we will have to stay in here with him, or I keep the light on at night so he won't feel afraid. And that is very, very hard. I've seen him cry. I know when he's sad, because of the nightmares, because of the hurt. Patrick has stopped eating. And I had to make a decision just this last June, either to put a feeding tube in him, which was a peg tube, or to let him die. I chose for Patrick to live. Patrick now survives on a feeding tube where he's on it for 14 hours a day, and that is a long time for him to be on it. I could go on and say so much, but the one thing I want people to understand is that when you don't go and check on your family members, when you don't call, when you don't say, hey, this is not right, when your family member is wet and don't nobody go and change them, when you don't do what you're supposed to, then you're guilty. At the end of the day, I checked, we went different times in the night, but abuse still happened. Just because somebody takes a job don't mean that they're qualified for the job. It means that they were not taught properly. A lot of people have been hurt, injured, and abused because they have gotten, other people and staff have gotten through the cracks. But at the end of the day, when you look at it, the people that raped Patrick, the people that beat Patrick, they're somebody's son, they're somebody's brother, they're somebody's husband, they're somebody's uncle, and they know what they did. In spite of, they prey on people that cannot talk for themselves. They prey on people that cannot speak up for themselves. It's easier for them to abuse them because they can't talk like you and I. So quite naturally, if you see one of them having a behavior, the first thing you would do would give them medicine instead of searching it out and saying, well, did somebody do something to hurt them, or did somebody do something to abuse them? The first thing we do is just give them medicine, and that's not right. At the end of the day, this is the result. Patrick sleeps all day long. I care for him. He is total care. I have no life. I had a job where I was a supervisor at Spring Arbor, and then I could distinguish that time at work and then come home. This is a 24-hour day job. I thank God for my family, but at the end of the day, it's just me and Patrick. In the midnight hours when Patrick can't sleep, it's me. In the daytime, it's me. In the evening time, it's me. So when you get ready to place your family member in a facility, you need to make sure that the place is safe, it is secure, and that you have family members that's willing to go out and check on them. I am still hurting. Patrick is still hurting. But I will not stop until justice is served. There's 32 staff that worked in 6-3 and Cluster 6 at O'Berry Center, and justice will be served. Somebody saw them beat Patrick. Somebody heard them beat Patrick. Somebody knew that staff was going into bed, getting into bed with him, and nobody did anything. If you knew that and you did nothing, you were guilty. So the Bible says, vengeance is mine, says the Lord, I will repay. And there's nothing hid. So if you cover your head, your feet gonna show. And if you cover your feet, your head gonna show. God saw you, and eventually it's gonna come out. So keep looking in the newspaper, keep listening to the radio. I will not stop until justice is served for Patrick Hill. And that is Mr. Hill as he sleeps.